For more on this, let's bring in Mustafa Akyol. He's a Turkish writer and journalist and a visiting fellow at the Freedom Project at Wellesley College. He's joining us now via Skype from the U.S. state of Massachusetts. Thank you so much for your time, sir. So first off, what's your take on this? What is causing this relationship between the U.S. and Turkey to deteriorate so fast?
Well, this is certainly an unprecedented law in Turkish-American relations. I've never seen something like this in my life. And certainly it will cause a lot of inconvenience, harm to a lot of people. So we should hope that this should end soon. Tens and thousands of people were planning to go to the U.S. for business, for education, and so on and so forth. They must be thinking really hard right now. This is happening because I think mainly because of distrust between the Turkish and American governments. After the military coup attempt in Turkey, which was a real attempt, which was a real shock on the nation, the Turkish government had the right to prosecute who was behind the coup. And a lot of people in Turkey agree, even the critics of President Erdogan agree that the religious group in question, led by this cleric Fethullah Gülen, have something to do with this. But still, this prosecution of the coup went so far and so beyond control that even some of the government supporters are saying now it's out of control, it's just turning into a witch hunt. And ultimately, this affected the U.S. embassy and U.S. Consulate in Istanbul, and one of their staff, a Turkish member of the staff, was arrested. And this, I think, added, and I think U.S. authorities wanted to show a reaction. But it's a harsh reaction that really hurts a lot of Turkish people, whatever one thinks about the Turkish government and its policies.
Yeah, and you talk about distrust. I mean, Turkey recently decided to buy a surface-to-air missile defense system from Russia, basically openly buying weapons from Russia to defend itself from the West. So when you talk about the issue of trust here, where could this lead? Is this relationship repairable?
Well, it is repairable. Well, I mean, those are the things that worry people like me who think that Turkey's ties with the West are necessary for the West and Turkey itself as well, and to keep Turkey in the club of democracies, not in another club, which is grim. That would include Russia, obviously. And right now, I should say maybe Turkey's at a tipping point. And I think rather than, and I think the Turkish government and its ideological commitments, and I think sometimes fear and paranoia has something to do with that. On the other hand, it's true that the Western capitals did not give enough support to Ankara after the coup. They didn't try to understand Turkey's argument. So there's like a lack of communication. So I would urge every Western government and policymaker to be able to reach out to the Turkish side and to find diplomatic solutions to these problems, because otherwise, indeed, Turkey might drift further away from the West and get close to this country of, the club of countries that are certainly not democracies. And that will be bad for Turkey. That will be bad for the world.
But do you feel like there's a sense, especially in the West, that Turkey has drifted quite far from this club of democracies?
At this point, yes. I mean, Turkey is a democracy in the sense that Turkey has elections that are, competitive. But Turkey is certainly not a liberal democracy today in the West, although this problem of illiberal or authoritarian democracy is showing its face in some Western nations as well, like Hungary or Poland these days. So instead of thinking that Turkey has just gone out of the democracy club, I mean, there are real concerns, but I think Western friends of Turkey and anybody who just is concerned about human rights in the world should try to build bridges. And that's why I hope Turkish and American governments will find a solution to this problem, which will be, if it's not solved, it will be bad for both countries and their citizens.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we'll disrupt travel for thousands of Turkish and American citizens. We're going to have to leave it there. Mustafa Akyol, thank you so much for your time.